Hello friends, welcome to our channel. Today I will discuss another topic, that is structure and function of a computer system. Okay, structure and function of a computer system. That means different category of structure and what are the functions, not functional units, actually different functions of a computer system. In this topic, we will discuss some complexity of systems and some essential part of the or essential components of systems, and how both structure and functions is involved in any computer system. Okay. So the hierarchical nature of the complex system is essential to both their design and their description normally. And a designer, most of the time designer need to deal with some particular level of a system at a time. And each level the designer concerned with the structure and function. When there is a hardware part or a hardware designer want to design a computer system, they focus on structure and function. Okay, because these two part they will consider to design, by which different components can communicate to each other and perform accordingly. So two part, one is structure, another part is function. If we go through that is structure, then it is a way in which the components are interrelated. Okay, components are interrelated, means different components are interrelated through structure. If we go through function, then the operation of each individual components are part of the structure, means both are independent. Okay, once the structure completed, then we go through some function, how it is operated properly. Okay, that kind of things we will discuss regarding on structure and function of computer system. Next come to the point that is a function. If we go through function, then actually both structure and functions of computer system are most important part of this computer system. And in general it is also very simple whenever we will discuss. Internally some design is there, we don't go through deeply because it is electronic concept. Since it is electronic devices, it is electronic concept, we don't go through that, but we discuss regarding on overall how the different functions and structure are useful in a computer system. And in terms of, there are only four components as in functions, like data moment, control, okay, data moment, control, data processing and data storage. The four components are important for different functions or function when considered for computer system, different functions considered for computer system. Then we go through that. Data moments means how data is moved from one component to another component. That function is required. Another control functions also required, because I told in previous lectures that is a control unit is very important part of this computer system. It controls different operations. And another is data processing. It is also another part that is processing of data as per the requirement. And whenever we go through data storage, we store some data through data storage. Okay, these four components are important for functions of a computer system. If we go through that functional view of a computer system, the design is like this. The data moment apparatus, that means data collect from here, data moment, and transfer through other components, and it is a control component or control mechanism. Okay, it is a control mechanism that control the data. Now to which components it need to operate, it need to transfer, that is control through control mechanism. And if it is storage, no problem, it transfer to storage, store the data. If without data is operate, then it is transfer to operate data through some central processing or data processing facilities. Okay, these are the overall functional unit of a computer system. Next is similarly, first we will discuss that is data moment. Data moment means the data is moved from one component to another component. That means the computer must be able to move data between itself and the outside world. If we collect the data from computer system through output devices, we can collect, and if we give some data to the computer system through input devices we can give. Okay. So, for the reason the computer must be move that is move to must be able to move data between itself and the outside world. When data retrieve from computer system or memory, that is outside the world, we can retrieve data through external devices or something. And if we want to give some data to the computer system, then that is a data move from input devices to computer system as our requirement. Okay. So, this is the basic concept regarding on data movement. And when data are moved over longer distance, okay, that is longer distance data exactly what are not moved through some devices, it will move or form of a remote device, then process is known as communications. Okay, data communication means data move from one device to another devices with a longer distance. We can tell as that is network system, remote devices. Okay, data move because through remote devices we give some instruction, give some input, then automatically that devices will activate and do accordingly. And if it if we go through network system, similarly that is data communication system, data move from one place to another place. Okay. So, this is the data movement. And another is data or control mechanism. This control mechanism is the important part to control the whole data whenever transfer from one component to another component. So, it must be control of these three functions. Okay. So, different functions are there, and this control is exercised by the individuals who provides the computer with the instructions. Some figure I will show you how it will operate in different ways. I will show you that part. Okay. Next is processing of data. If we go through processing of data, computer system of course must be able to process the data, means as our requirement or as per the operations they will process, data will be processed. And the data may be or may take wide variety of forms, and the range of processing requirement is broad, means different data can be considered. Okay, not exactly text data, image data, video data, different data can be considered in the different forms of data and processed also accordingly as our requirement. So, process of data depend on data what we want to do, okay, and where it need to store or what who will be processed, that kind of concept is there. Okay, we shall see that there are only few fundamental methods or types of data processing, because it is under that is research how different data processed according our requirement. Last one is storing data. It is also essential that a computer store data, okay, and store some area temporary, either it store is temporary or permanent, and we store at least those pieces of data that is being worked on any given moment. So, that means if you do some work on data, definitely it store some times at a given moment it will store, after that you will use that data, and there is at least a short term data storage function we need to store some data for temporary purpose. If we go through I have already discussed in last lecture, that is storing of data, that is two ways. If we go through memory analyze, like a primary storage or a secondary storage. Okay. Normally if we go through secondary storage, permanent data will be stored, so for long term purpose. If it temporary, then go through primary, that is a RAM also one part of the primary storage. Temporary storage, whenever power off, data will be lost. Okay. So, different ways it will store. Okay. So, this is that is story of data. Next is similarly I told that is different functions of processing of data, like you see very simple data movement. Suppose data will come control unity, that is control that or control mechanism is there, it is control, it is a control unit, okay, or control mechanism we can tell as a control mechanism. Okay. In control mechanism what happens, it data collect, control again collect from outside, okay, again control, again send it to that moment, data moment is the data moment. You see that is, this is the data moment, not a moment, movement, data movement. Okay. If it need to store, you see, data come from data moment, okay, it will come to control, again storing purpose. If you go to storing purpose, then what happens? Data control and store, and a control, why it is control? Because it will rectify how much data it need to store. If you beyond the capacity, it cannot be possible to store. So for the reason, control unit is there to store some data. It is 1, that is 2, okay. And third position, you see, if you third functions or third criteria, you see, that is very simple here. Data collect from memory, use and process. Again data also store in storage, okay. That is another concept also there. The very simple way, it is a diagram in this way in the mentioned, okay. Very simple way it is mentioned. That kind of things we can also do. Another is data collect from memory and it is process, again it will show to outside, okay. Outside environment it will show, collect here, process, again pass to the outside, by which everybody can visit or can see what kind data as per this output, okay. So this is the 4 that is functions. We will go through this 4 function under this particular, we can tell that is a 4 functions is a control mechanism. So control mechanism contains 4 functions, then it will control, actually through this, or most of the part is through control. Here control part, here is control part, here is also control part, here is control part. It control all kind of things, all kind of data as per requirement, okay. So these functions are very important part of the control system. Next, from these are the I completed that function part. Now we will discuss regarding on structure. Structure means actually it is the interaction between different peripherals, devices, different components, and a computer interacts in some fashion with its external environment, because what you that is operated in kind of operations, it should be display, it should be linked to the outside environment or external environment, okay. So the structure also defined accordingly, and in generally, suppose if we analyze some external environment, it is classified as a peripheral devices or communication lines. So here structure is very different, very typical concept is mentioned here. Some peripheral devices, input output devices, and connected to this particular computer system. And a computer system, all of you know that one is a storage, we can go through storage, another is a processing system, okay. Storage and a processing system. If we written, then very simply we can write it once again, big size, that is a storage and a processing, okay. Storage and a processing system, and whenever receive some data from peripheral devices and do some work, and after that it will store, or it will that is release those data through different communication, okay. That means it will release those data through output devices, and some internal communication is linked through these communication lines. It is internal part of this computer system, okay. When designer design the computer system, they know that how different components need to communicate through communication lines to the computer system, and one part is a storage and another part is a processing, okay. So this is the basic concept of a structure. And the internal structure of the computer system, if we go through internal part or internal structure of computer system, that itself designed with different various components. We will see that how it is itself defined in a different ways. The main structural components are, one is a central processing unit, next is a main memory, next is a I/O devices, next is internal interconnection, okay. First one is a central processing unit. Very simple way, all of you know that is what is a central processing unit. It is centrally processed all kind of operations, okay. So it controls operation of the computer and performs its processing data or processing functions. Often you can tell as a processor do all kind of things through this central processing unit, okay. Another part is a memory. Memory, it stores main memory or memory, it stores various data as our requirement or as per the capacity of a memory. It is storage of data. Okay. If you want to store the data, then data stored in a memory, and if you retrieve data, data is retrieved from memory. The role of storage of data is in a memory. And another is moves data between computer and its external environment. Okay, moves data. Here data moves between computer and external environment. How? That is through input output devices. Through input output devices, it will receive data. Okay, and whenever it display to the outside environment or external environment, then it will display through output devices, through output units or output devices. This is the basic concept regarding on that is the main structure components. Okay. So another part is that is a system interconnection. Another part of four structure is there, system interconnection. This is system interconnection, some mechanism that provides a communication among CPU, main memory and IO, because interconnection among them, okay, through common lines or any others, some communication links should be maintained. So in this system interconnection, what happens? So some example we can take, that is a common bus or a system bus, okay, that consists of a number of conducting wires to which all other components are attached. Okay. So that means it is a common bus or other communication systems is there where it is connect to different components of a computer system. Okay. And major structural components are, that is a control unity, that is controls the operations of the CPU and hence computer. Okay. And another part is a arithmetic and a logic unit which performs the computer data processing with its processing function. Another is registers, okay, provides storage internal CPU to the CPU. Another is a CPU interconnection. Okay. Another part is a CPU interconnection, and this CPU interconnection some mechanism to provide communication among the control unit, ALU and register. Okay. Last. So these important parts of the components or structural components which are involved in a intercommunication system. Okay. This is the overall basic concept regarding on functions and structure. Once again I will tell you, functions and structures is an important part of this computer system, and functions, the different components when actively operate operate for different operations, then go through functions. And a structure, different hardware components whenever they will be kept or they will be located in a different location of the computer system, then go through structure. And structure having different structure design different components, we discuss those part very simple way. If you go through that particularly, if you go through that is some components of the structural components, that is one main part is that is a central processing unit, next is a main memory, next is a IO, and last one is a system interconnection. Okay. Again CPU also divide, that is different ways we can define. Okay. So although that is the different parts are there, I just mentioned these four parts of the structure of the computer system. Okay. So this is the overall part of this computer functions and structures. Okay. Functions and structures, which is the most important part of the computer system. Okay. If we go through computer system, definitely we go through structure and functions of a computer system, because structure and a computer system is the overall that all kind of hardware and software concept of the computer system. Structural point of view, if we go through structural components, then definitely we go through hardware part. How it will activate, operate of different components, then we go through that is function. Okay. So both structure and functions of a computer system is important for any kind of a computer system. Although different in depth knowledge is required, but overall concept or a basic concept we need to know how structure and functions of computer system will be activated. Okay. So, thank you very much to all to watch these videos. So, please subscribe my channel, and that is if you want to give comments, you can also give comments. Okay. Thanks to all.